The New York street at evening carried its usual noise until a mocking laugh cut through, followed by a woman's voice, tight with fear. For young men had cornered Rosaline Limer on the sidewalk, blocking her path, throwing words that made her shoulders pull in. Most pedestrians lowered their heads and walked faster. But at the far end of the block, one man stopped. William Smith, a single father carrying groceries for his daughter Emma, understood how much silence could hurt. He had lived in silence for 3 years since his wife Sarah died. He knew that looking away was a choice. And tonight, he chose differently. William had spent the last hour in the grocery store doing what he did every Thursday evening. He bought organic milk because Emma liked it better. He bought whole wheat bread because Sarah had always insisted on it. He bought light bulbs because Emma's desk lamp had burned out that morning and she needed it for homework. His life had become a series of small, practical tasks since Sarah's death, tasks that kept him moving forward when everything inside him wanted to stop. Before we continue, please tell us where in the world you are tuning in from. We love seeing how far our stories travel. The grocery bags were heavy in his hands as he walked home. One bag had the milk and bread. The other had the light bulbs, some pasta, and a box of Emma's favorite cereal. Simple things. Ordinary things. The kind of things that made up a life when the extraordinary was gone. He was thinking about what to make for dinner when he heard the laughter. Not the good kind. The cruel kind. The kind that made his chest tighten because he recognized it. It was the sound of people enjoying someone else's fear. William looked up and saw her. A woman in a red top and patterned shorts backed against a brick wall. For young men surrounded her. They were not touching her, but they did not need to. Their presence was enough. They blocked her path. They crowded her space. They threw words at her like stones. Words William could not hear from where he stood, but could imagine. Words meant to make her feel small and afraid and powerless. The woman's name was Rosaline Limer, though William did not know that yet. All he knew was that she was scared. Her shoulders were pulled in. Her arms were crossed over her chest. Her eyes were searching the crowd for help that was not coming. And the crowd was not coming. People walked past. They saw what was happening. William knew they saw it because some of them glanced over before quickly looking away. Some of them walked faster. Some of them crossed to the other side of the street. Everyone had somewhere to be. Everyone had a reason not to get involved. William understood that instinct. He had felt it himself many times since Sarah died. The instinct to protect yourself, to avoid conflict, to stay in your lane and hope someone else would handle the problem. It was easier that way, safer that way, less complicated. But William also understood something else. He understood that silence was a choice, that looking away was participation, that every person who walked past Rosaline was telling those 4 young men that what they were doing was acceptable, that no one cared enough to stop them. Sarah would have cared. Sarah would have stopped. Sarah would have walked right up to those young men and said something that made them rethink their choices. She had that gift, the ability to cut through nonsense with kindness and make people see themselves clearly. William thought about Sarah every day, every single day for 3 years. He thought about the way she smiled, the way she hummed while cooking, the way she could calm Emma down when she was upset with just a look. He thought about the way she died, a drunk driver, a senseless tragedy, someone else's carelessness taking away the best person he had ever known. He thought about what Sarah would want him to do right now, and he knew she would want him to stop. She would want him to help. She would want him to be the kind of man who did not look away when someone needed help. William had made a promise to Sarah before she died, not out loud, not in words, but in his heart. He promised that he would raise Emma to be kind, to be strong, to be the kind of person who stood up for others. He promised that he would teach her the things Sarah had taught him. But how could he teach Emma to be brave if he was not brave himself? How could he tell her to stand up for others if he walked past someone who needed help? How could he look her in the eye tonight and tell her about integrity if he chose silence over action? William looked at Rosaline again. He saw Emma's face, not because they looked alike, but because Emma was 12 years old and growing up fast. One day, Emma would be a young woman walking down a street, and William hoped that if she ever found herself backed against a wall by men who thought her fear was entertainment, someone would stop, someone would help, someone would choose not to look away. He could not control what other people would do for Emma in the future, but he could control what he did for Rosaline right now. William adjusted his grip on the grocery bags. He took a breath, and he walked forward, not running, not charging, just walking, steady and calm, the way Sarah used to walk when she was about to do something difficult but necessary. The street noise continued around him. People still walked past. The 4 young men still surrounded Rosaline. But William kept walking. One step, then another, then another. He did not know what he was going to say. He did not know what would happen. He just knew that looking away was not an option. Not tonight. Not ever again. William reached the edge of the circle and stopped. The 4 young men did not notice him at first. They were too focused on Rosaline, too focused on their game, too focused on proving something to each other that did not need to be proven. The leader was obvious. He stood closest to Rosaline. He was the one doing most of the talking. He was the one the others looked to for approval. He wore a black t-shirt and had dark hairstyle with too much product. His name was Dylan, though William did not know that yet. All William knew was that Dylan was the one who needed to be addressed first. William took another step forward. Now he was inside the circle. Now he was part of the situation instead of an observer. The young man on the right noticed him first. He nudged Dylan and pointed. Dylan turned and looked at William with irritation. William did not say anything threatening. He did not demand they leave Rosaline alone. He did not make himself bigger or put on a tough voice. Instead, he did something completely unexpected. He held out one of his grocery bags toward Dylan and said, "Excuse me, can you hold this for a second?" Dylan stared at the bag, then at William, then back at the bag. His face showed confusion. This was not the script he expected. People either walked past or confronted him. They did not ask him for favors. "What?" Dylan said. "My bag," William repeated calmly. "Can you hold it? Just for a moment. My hands are getting tired." The other 3 young men looked at each other. One of them laughed, but it was uncertain. Not the confident mockery from before. This was different. This did not make sense. Dylan did not take the bag. He looked at William like he was trying to figure out if this was a trick. "Are you serious right now?" "Very serious," William said. He kept his voice polite, almost friendly. "These bags are heavy. I've been carrying them for 6 blocks. I just need a second." William took another step and positioned himself next to Rosaline, not in front of her like a shield, next to her, like they were standing together, like he belonged there. He set one bag down on the ground gently and adjusted his grip on the other. Rosaline looked at him. Her eyes were wide with fear and confusion. She did not know who this man was or what he was doing, but she felt the shift. The space around her was no longer just theirs. It was shared now. Dylan's irritation grew. "Man, what are you doing?" "Walk away." "I will," William said. "In a minute. I just need to catch my breath first." He looked at Rosaline and gave her a small nod. Not a smile, just acknowledgement. "I see you. You are not alone." One of the other young men, the tallest one in a black hoodie, stepped closer. "You think you're funny?" "Not particularly," William said. "I'm just tired. Long day. Work. Groceries. You know how it is." He said it like they were having a normal conversation, like this was a reasonable situation, like he was not standing in the middle of a harassment scene acting as a human barrier. Dylan's face darkened. He did not like being ignored. He did not like losing control of the situation. "You need to leave. Now." William looked at him, really looked at him, not with anger, not with challenge, with something worse. Pity. I'll leave when the lady is ready to leave. We can walk together. Safety in numbers, you know. The young men exchanged glances. This was not going the way it was supposed to. They were supposed to be in control. They were supposed to be the ones making people uncomfortable. But now this random man with grocery bags was standing there talking about safety in numbers like he was giving directions to a tourist. The second young man, shorter with a black leather jacket, tried a different approach. Your boyfriend or something? No, William said simply. I don't know her. I just don't think 4 men should surround one woman on a sidewalk. Seems unfair. Unfair. Dylan laughed, but it sounded forced. Man, we're just talking. We're not doing anything. Then you won't mind if I stand here while you talk, William said. His voice was still calm, still polite, but there was something underneath it now. Something that made it clear he was not leaving. Go ahead. Keep talking. I'll wait. The silence stretched. The young man did not know what to do. Starting a fight with a man holding groceries seemed stupid. Walking away seemed like losing. Continuing to harass Rosaline with this man standing there felt impossible. William reached into his pocket slowly and pulled out his phone. He did not make a show of it. He just held it. I can call someone if you need help with something. Police. Taxi. Whatever you need. That word. Police. It changed the air. Dylan's jaw tightened. The tall one in the hoodie took a small step back. They were not scared of William, but they were scared of consequences, of witnesses, of this becoming something official. William saw the shift. He pressed it. Or you can just go about your evening. I'm sure you have better things to do than stand on a sidewalk. Dylan stared at William. William stared back. Not aggressive, not challenging, just present, just refusing to look away, just holding space. And then William said the thing that changed everything. He said it quietly, almost gently, like he was talking to Emma. I have a daughter. She's 12. I hope when she grows up, if she's ever standing where this woman is standing, someone stops, someone helps, someone chooses not to look away. He paused. I really hope she never meets men like you. Listen, if you've made it this far in the story, you're invested. You want to know what happens to them. But here's the thing. Most people scroll past these stories without subscribing. They watch, they enjoy, and they disappear. If this story matters to you, if you actually care how it ends, hit that subscribe button, please. It takes 2 seconds. And if you don't, you'll probably forget about this channel and never hear another amazing story from me. Dylan's face changed when William mentioned his daughter. Something flickered behind his eyes. Not kindness, not regret, but recognition. The recognition that this was no longer a game. William saw the flicker, and he knew he had found the crack, the place where the performance ended and the person began. He did not push harder. He just stood there and waited. He let the weight of his words settle. The tall young man in the hoodie shifted his weight. He looked at Dylan, then at William, then at the ground. He was the first one to break formation, not by leaving, just by stepping back slightly, creating distance between himself and what was happening, acknowledging that whatever this was, it was not what he signed up for. Dylan noticed. He noticed his friend stepping back, and it made him angry, angrier than William's presence, angrier than the words about daughters. Because losing control in front of his friends was worse than losing control to a stranger. His whole identity was built on being the leader, the one in charge, the one others followed. Dylan told William he thought he was some kind of hero. He asked if coming over with groceries made William think he was better than them. His voice was louder now, defensive, aggressive. William shook his head and told Dylan no. He told him he did not think he was better than anyone. He told Dylan that he thought Dylan was better than this, better than harassing a woman on a street, better than making someone afraid for entertainment. The second young man, the one in the leather jacket, laughed. But it was not the same mocking laugh from before. It was uncomfortable, uncertain. He told Dylan they should just go. He said this was stupid. Dylan turned on him and said they were not going anywhere. The one in the leather jacket asked why not. He said they were just messing around. That was not that serious. William agreed, quietly. He said it was not that serious. So there was no reason to stay. Dylan's hands clenched into fists. William saw it. Rosaline saw it. The whole street saw it. This was the moment where Dylan either walked away or proved he was exactly what William said he was. A man who would rather be violent than be wrong. William did not step back. He did not raise his hands to defend himself. He did not prepare to fight. He just stood there and looked at Dylan with that same steady gaze, that same quiet certainty. The look Sarah used to give Emma when she was throwing a tantrum. The look that said she saw what Emma was doing, and she was not going to let Emma trick her into believing the tantrum was who Emma really was. Dylan raised his fist. Not all the way. Just enough to show he could. Just enough to make William flinch. William did not flinch. Instead, William spoke. His voice was softer now. Sadder. He told Dylan that his wife had died 3 years ago. He told him a drunk driver had hit her car on her way home from work. He told Dylan that Sarah was a good person. The kind of person who would have stopped to help Dylan if he was stranded on the side of the road. The kind of person who believed everyone deserved a second chance. William told Dylan that Sarah would have been disappointed in him if he had walked past Rosaline tonight, that she had taught him that kindness was strength, that standing up for people who could not stand up for themselves was what separated good people from people who just claimed to be good. Dylan lowered his fist slightly, not because he was scared, because the script was broken. This was supposed to be about power and dominance and winning, but William had turned it into something else, something heavier, something real. Dylan told William he did not care about his wife, but his voice lacked conviction. William said he knew Dylan did not care about Sarah, but he told Dylan that Dylan cared about something, that everyone cared about something. Maybe it was Dylan's mother. Maybe it was a sister. Maybe it was just the person Dylan wanted to be when he looked in the mirror tomorrow morning. William gestured toward Rosaline without looking away from Dylan. He told Dylan that Rosaline was someone's daughter, someone's sister, someone's friend, and right now she was scared, not because of anything she did, just because 4 men decided her fear was entertaining. The 4th young man, the quietest one who had not said anything the whole time, spoke up. He told Dylan that William was right. He said they should just go. Dylan turned on him and told him to shut up. The quiet one said no. His voice was steady and firm. He said he was done, that this was not cool anymore, that it never was cool. The tall one in the hoodie agreed. He said he was out too. Dylan looked at them, then at the one in the leather jacket. He was waiting for that one to take his side, to back him up, to prove that William was wrong, and they were right. And this was all just harmless fun. The one in the leather jacket looked at the ground. He said he was with the others. 3 against 1. Dylan stood alone, the leader without followers, the performer without an audience, just a young man on a street with his fist raised and nowhere for his anger to go. William's voice was gentle now, almost kind. He told Dylan he could still walk away. He could still be the kind of man who made a mistake and chose differently. He told Dylan that was all this was, a choice, just like every other choice Dylan would make for the rest of his life. Dylan's fist unclenched slowly. His arm dropped to his side. He looked at William with something that might have been hatred, or might have been shame, or might have been both. Then he looked at Rosaline, really looked at her for the first time, saw her fear, saw what he had done, saw himself through someone else's eyes. Dylan muttered that this was stupid, but he stepped back. 1 step, then another. The tall one in the hoodie was already walking away. The quiet one followed him. The one in the leather jacket hesitated. Then he looked at William and said 1 word. Sorry. Just that. Then he left too. Dylan stood there for one more second. Then he turned and walked after his friends. Not running. Not storming off. Just walking like a normal person, leaving a normal situation. The street was silent. The crowd that had gathered at a distance did not cheer. They did not applaud. They just watched, confused and unsure what they had just witnessed, because nothing had happened. No punches were thrown. No police were called. No violence occurred. Just words. Just presence. Just one man refusing to look away. William picked up his grocery bag from the ground. He looked at Rosaline and asked if she was okay. She nodded. Her voice was shaky when she thanked him. William told her she did not have to thank him. He asked if he could walk her somewhere. Home. Subway. Wherever she needed to go. Rosaline nodded again and told him home. She said it was 3 blocks away. William said okay and told her they should go. They walked together in silence for the first block. Rosaline kept looking over her shoulder. William did not. He trusted that the moment was over, that Dylan and his friends were gone, that the immediate danger had passed. William and Rosaline walked together down the New York street. The evening noise had returned. Cars honked. People talked on their phones. The city moved forward like nothing had happened, because for the city, nothing had happened. Just another Thursday evening. Rosaline walked close to William, but not too close. She kept glancing behind them, checking to see if the young men were following. William understood. Fear did not disappear just because the threat was gone. It lingered. It made you check over your shoulder. It made you question every shadow. They walked in silence for the first block. William carried his grocery bags. Rosaline hugged her purse to her chest. Neither of them knew what to say. The situation was over, but the weight of it remained. Halfway through the second block, Rosaline spoke. She asked William why he stopped, why he helped her when everyone else walked past. William thought about the question. He thought about all the true answers he could give, because Sarah would have wanted him to, because he had a daughter, because looking away felt like participating, because he was tired of being the kind of man who stayed silent. But what he said was simpler. He told Rosaline that it was the right thing to do. That was all. Just the right thing. Rosaline asked if he was scared, if he thought they might hurt him. William admitted that yes, he was scared. He told her he was not a fighter. He was not trained in self-defense. He was just a father who worked an office job and bought groceries and tried to raise his daughter alone. He told Rosaline that being scared did not mean you should not act. It just meant you had to act despite the fear. Rosaline stopped walking. She looked at William and asked him about his wife, about what he had said to Dylan, about the drunk driver. William stopped too. He set down his grocery bags and told Rosaline the story. He told her that Sarah had been driving home from work 3 years ago. A man had been drinking at a bar and decided he was fine to drive. He ran a red light and hit Sarah's car on the driver's side. She died at the hospital 2 hours later. Emma was 9 years old. Rosaline told William she was sorry. William thanked her and told her that sorry was something people said when they did not know what else to say. He understood. He said it too when people told him about their losses. It was the only word that fit, even though it never felt like enough. They started walking again. Rosaline's building was at the end of the 3rd block, a brown apartment building with a green awning and a doorman who was not at his post. Before they reached the door, Rosaline stopped again. She told William that what he did tonight mattered, that she had been terrified, that she thought no one was going to help, that she had started to believe the world was full of people who only cared about themselves. William told her the world was full of all kinds of people, some good, some bad, most somewhere in between. He told her that what mattered was which kind of person you chose to be when it counted. Rosaline asked William what he was going to tell his daughter about tonight, if he was going to tell her what happened. William thought about it. He thought about Emma sitting at the kitchen table, doing homework under a burned-out light. He thought about the conversation they would have when he got home. He thought about what Sarah would have said if she was still alive. He told Rosaline that he was going to tell Emma the truth, that he saw someone who needed help and he stopped, that he was scared but he did it anyway, that sometimes being a good person meant being uncomfortable, that his wife had taught him that kindness was not weakness. It was strength. Rosaline smiled, a small smile, the first one William had seen from her. She told him his daughter was lucky to have him. William disagreed. He told Rosaline that he was lucky to have Emma, that she was the reason he got up every morning, the reason he kept trying to be better, the reason he stopped tonight instead of walking past. They said goodbye at the door. Rosaline thanked him again. William told her to be safe. She went inside, and William stood there for a moment. He picked up his grocery bags and started to walk home. The street was quieter now, darker. William walked slowly. He thought about Dylan and his friends. He wondered if they were thinking about what happened, if they felt ashamed, if they would make different choices next time. He hoped they would. He hoped his words had planted something in them that would grow. But he also knew he might never know. That was the thing about moments like this. You did what you could, and then you moved on. You did not get to see the full impact. You just had to trust that it mattered. William reached his apartment building 20 minutes later. He climbed the stairs to the third floor and unlocked the door. Emma was at the kitchen table, just like he knew she would be. Book spread out, pencil in hand, working on math homework under the burned-out light. She looked up when he came in and asked him what took so long. William set the groceries on the counter and pulled out the light bulbs. He told Emma he would explain in a minute. First, he needed to fix her lamp. He unscrewed the old bulb and put in the new one. The light came on, bright and clear. Emma smiled and said that was better. William sat down across from her. He told her he had something to talk to her about, something that happened on the way home, something about her mother and the lesson she taught him. Emma put down her pencil and listened. William told her the whole story, about Rosaline, about the 4 young men, about standing there with his grocery bags and choosing not to walk away, about being scared but doing it anyway, about remembering Sarah's belief that everyone deserved a chance to be better. Emma listened without interrupting. When he finished, she asked him if he was okay. William nodded. He told her he was fine, better than fine. He told her that for the first time in 3 years, he felt like he had honored Sarah's memory in a way that mattered, not by being sad, not by being angry, but by being the kind of man she believed he could be. Emma reached across the table and took his hand. She told him that Mom would be proud of him. William squeezed her hand and told her that was all he wanted, to make Sarah proud, to make Emma proud, to be the kind of father who taught by example instead of just words. They sat there together in the kitchen with the new light shining bright, and William realized that Sarah's lessons had not died with her. They lived in him. They lived in Emma. They lived in every choice he made to be kind instead of cruel, to help instead of ignore, to stand up instead of stay silent. The strongest light in the room was not the bulb he had just installed. It was the integrity Sarah had given him, and he would carry it forward, one choice at a time, one moment at a time, for the rest of his life. The hardest part of doing the right thing is not the danger. It is a moment before you act when your mind gives you every reason to walk away. William was not braver than the people who passed by Rosaline. He was just as scared. He just as easily could have looked down and kept walking. But he understood something important. Silence is a choice, and every time you choose silence when someone needs help, you teach yourself that fear is more important than integrity. The lesson is not that you should put yourself in danger. The lesson is that courage is not the absence of fear. It is deciding that something else matters more. Some of you are not just listening to this story. You are remembering parts of your own life. You work long hours. You came home tired and tried to hold the house together. believing there would always be time later for conversations. Then one day you realize children grow up quietly, and some chances don't come back. Many of you have also seen things you never really spoke about. People you expected to grow old beside are gone, and life simply kept moving while you carried it privately. You showed up. You provided. You stayed. That matters more than you were ever told. I put together a small book about fathers and children, the distance that sometimes forms, and the small things that can still change how the relationship turns out over time. If it feels like something you want to look at, the link is in the description. So here's the real question. Did you subscribe yet? Thousands of people will listen to this story and won't subscribe. Please don't be that person. Please subscribe to this channel, and let's keep breathing life into stories that were never meant to stay silent. And here's what I need to know. Do you want part 2?